Let's talk now to President Cyril Ramaphosa. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
You talked at the beginning of the address about this idea that you are moving forwards with this plan to raise $100 billion. How far are you moving forwards? How much progress are you making? How's it going?
Well, we're making enormous progress. I appointed 4 investment envoys and who've been going through the length and the breadth of the continent, of the globe, really, in Africa and many other parts of the world, North America, Europe, Asia, and Latin America. And they have been interacting with potential investors. And through this, including the trips that I have undertaken, we've really received wonderful pledges for investment, pledges that those who have pledged want to base on real projects, which we've now presented to them. And thus far, we had already received up to $35 billion of pledged investments. And today, we actually going to be dealing now with real investments that a number of companies are going to announce, and they are going to come up to a really sizable number of investments that a number of corporates, both inshore as well as offshore, want to make into the South African economy. So there is progress. I am pleased with how far we've gone in just 6 months.
Are you on track with where you thought you'd be?
I think we're ahead of the track. We are way ahead, and I'm overwhelmed by the level of interest that continues to be in the South African economy. Many corporates and many potential investors are here, and we've got well over 1,000 people here, and many of them are real investors. They are not just people who just want to come and have a freebie at a conference. They're here because they want to put money on the ground and make money themselves.
Let's talk a little bit about where the economy is right now.
Yeah.
Because clearly you need the numbers to look better if you're going to attract more investment. It's a virtuous circle.
It is.
And you need to improve things. The midterm budget that your new finance minister delivered in Cape Town back on Wednesday delivered some tough news on the South African economy.
Yeah.
The outlook for this year is what, half what was anticipated, and the debt outlook, the trajectory that the debt is on, is less rosy than originally anticipated as well. Is the legacy from the Zuma era even tougher than you thought it was going to be? Is the job of fixing the South African economy even tougher than you thought it was going to be when you took this job?
Yes, it is tougher because now in the full glare of the commissions of inquiry, we're now beginning to really get into the depth of what has been happening. And we can see the damage that was done to state institutions, to government departments, and corruption had become endemic. And fortunate thing is that the wheels did not come off. We are beginning now to renew and to roll back the bad practices that had come into place. And therefore, we are now, in a very determined way, moving forward and making sure that we do indeed get rid of corruption, we do indeed reposition our state-owned enterprises, we do indeed improve levels of governance within our government departments. So much as it was bad, we now know what the problem is, and that in many ways is 50% of the task, and thereafter the rest is what is in the realm of the doable. So we are repairing, we are renewing, we are transforming, and we are going to reposition South Africa, including our economy, in quite a dramatic way.
Was that a kind of... People talk about when companies release financial results, they talk about them kitchen sinking, and you put all the bad news out there, and this is as bad as it gets.
Yes.
And as a result of things improve from here.
Yes.
You talk then about having you have an understanding of the depths of the problem.
Yes.
You now feel that you have your arms around understanding where the issues lie. That was the kitchen sink budget. Things get better from here.
Yes. This was like the kitchen sink budget, as you correctly say, because we've now done a thorough analysis, and the analysis keeps rolling out, but we now know how serious and how deep the problem was. And after this, things get better, because we now are able to wrap our arms around what needs to be done. We now know what has to be corrected. We now also know the type of skills that we need, the type of people that we need to put in place to repair the damage that has been done in the past 9 years. And it is huge damage, but we are repairing it. We're repositioning our country, we're repositioning our economy, and beyond this, I'm confident that we will have done a pretty good job to put South Africa on a winning path once again.
You talk about corruption. You did so just a moment ago. Is Nhlanhla Nene going to be the last minister that leaves your government? Do you have the political will at the moment to reshuffle your cabinet? There's just been this drip, 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 and that is unnerving for investors. Are we done, or is there more to come?
Well, we deal with issues as and when they happen. You can never say in politics, this is, we're done with this and that. You deal with issues as they happen. But the important thing is the ability to be willing to respond. And if you are stuck in the mud and don't respond, that's where the problem is. In our case, we are responding. We are doing everything that we can to transform things. So as and when problems come up, the one thing that I can promise is that we will be responding, and we will be responding in the interest of moving South Africa forward.
Do you need to reshuffle your cabinet to make that happen?
Well, every president keeps on looking at precisely the type of skills that they have in their cabinet and how they are well positioned to move the country forward. So that is something that one needs to keep in mind all the time, to put the best people in the positions where they can do the best.
And you think you've got the best people in the positions now?
Well, I have a number of people that are doing really good work. I mean, some of the measures that we've announced are as a result of the team of people that I have, the wonderful people that I have who are doing really good work.
Okay. Let's move on. Labour market reform. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of fiscal wiggle room.
Yes.
You don't have a lot of monetary policy wiggle room.
Yeah.
That basically leaves structural reform as the only way forward. Are you at the point now where you think you have to go back to the unions and say, look, we need to rethink where we are right now. We need to rethink maybe the way that we're paying people. And this is a very tough conversation to have, maybe talking about having sub-inflation wage rises when it comes to the state enterprises in particular. It's the only kind of area left that labour reform, structural reform that South Africa has, and you've got to throw everything at it. It seems at that point. How close are you to making decisions about that?
Well, our conversations with Labour are ongoing. We've developed a really good partnership of all the key role players that we have, business, Labour, community. We are able to sit down and talk about everything under the sun. And the issue of labor costs is one of the issues that we continue to talk about. So these are issues that are part of the agenda items that we continue to talk about, and we've made tremendous progress. In the past, we've been able to reach a minimum wage dispensation. We've also been able to go to the job summit and talk about labor what we need to do to increase more people in employment. And so there are no holy cows, there are no issues that we cannot discuss, and we discuss everything under the sun with labor, including labor costs. So as and when we discuss these matters, we will be able, in the usual South African typical way, reach an understanding of where the country is and where the country needs to go.
I want to ask you sort of three very quick questions. Is this an investment-grade economy? You've got a review coming up. It's one of those kind of critical lines in the sand. I think Moody's is next month. You've had conversations with the rating agencies post the budget, I understand. Is this still, after the numbers we've just seen, an investment-grade economy?
Well, we are an investment-grade economy, I will say, without any equivocation. Looking at the interest that the investment community has in our economy, where they are prepared and willing to invest, that shows that we are in investment grade. Two, looking at the past, the recent past that we've had, where uncertainty and inconsistency were the order of the day, we are addressing that. We are taking dramatic measures to address all those issues. Looking at how we've been able to keep to fiscal discipline, we should be looked at as a country that abides by what it said it would do. Even the stimulus package is a reprioritization within the budget, and our monetary policies are still in place, and taking all these measures, we should be able to be regarded as an investment-grade economy. And as everything that we are doing now is implemented, and by the way, some of the issues that we are now implementing were raised by the rating companies. They kept raising issues of policy uncertainty, we have addressed that. They kept raising issues about corruption, we are addressing that. So all that should behove well for the South African economy, and I'm willing to argue my case with them and say, look at us anew. We are turning this ship around. Admittedly, it will not turn immediately, but it is on the way of turning.
Can you win next year's election?
Without any doubt. Without any doubt, with the measures that we are taking, with just merely taking action against corruption, our people are saying, this is the type of government that we want. Our ratings are continuing to increase. We will win next year's election.
Cyril Ramaphosa, the President of South Africa, thank you very much indeed for spending so much time with us here at Bloomberg this morning. A great pleasure.